Hello and welcome back to another Floppylegss Football YouTube video. Let's address the elephant in the room. Why am I wearing a Thanos dressing gown? Well, first of all, clearly the players against USA were sleeping and barely even moving about. That's why I'm wearing the dressing gown. And second of all, it's a Thanos one because I wish I could turn back time so I didn't have to watch that game. My God. This is a USA versus England reaction video. Thank you for coming through. Make sure you like, subscribe, and let's get into it. I'll be honest. This was a dreadful game. It was a dreadful game. We come off a 6-2 win against Iran, performing really well, fast movement of the ball, the wings being utilised to perfection, all of these plus points. We go into this game against USA and you have to put your hands up. USA nullified our whole game plan. We didn't really get the ball into the box apart from that one chance Kane got in the first half, and then other than that we had a header from Maguire that was the easiest save ever, but that's not Maguire's fault, and Kane with his header that went wide. It was a dreadful game. I was at the pub watching it. It was the first time this so far. It was going to happen eventually, but I thought it would be more knockout stages where I felt nervous. But I think that's just the general anxiety and excitement and anxiousness about the World Cup anyway, and international football and knockout football. There was so little to get you off your feet. That was the main thing I said. There was even just a taking a player on. That Luke Shaw little skill where you nutmegged, and that was good. But other than that, it was nothing. Just straight off the bat, I want to say some players that I'm not too happy with in that game, and I think they'll be fine against Wales. I think it was just a one-off game. Saka and Sterling did absolutely nothing that game, in my opinion, and compared to the last game where I think Saka was exceptional. It was really hard to see what he was doing, and I think that did coincide with Trippier being terrible. Trippier, I think, had probably the worst game, in my opinion. I think a lot of people were saying Saka. I think Trippier for me and Shaw, attacking-wise, was okay. Defensively was awful. And also, I want to mention Bellingham. I don't blame Bellingham. I don't say he had a terrible game. I think USA completely stopped him in his tracks, and he didn't do anything that he did against Iran, taking the ball and playing it forward. Kane did well, coming short a few times, laying it off, but everyone's touches, including Mount's, was terrible. We got into the final third a few times, or just before the final third, and our touch ruined it for us. Sterling had one where it went miles ahead. Mount had two, I think, where we could have actually gone for a goal, but his touch just let us down. And I think that's why Mount has got the biggest, negative response from that game. A lot of people are saying Phil Foden should have been playing instead of him or been brought on. I just want to touch on Mount quickly. I think Mount had a good game. Other than those two chances there where he could have brought the ball down well and we could have been through on goal, of course, that was a very negative moment from him, especially seeing how he's like the second striker in this position. He was the only player, though, for me that had some emphasis and some oomph about him. He was running down, tracking down, and there's a thing for me as a football fan that I just want to see the players try. I want to see you run. There was a thing with Palace back in the day. Andros Townsend was by no means the best player for Palace, no way. But he worked his socks off. He one time ran from the whole right wing all the way to the striker, then back again, just applying pressure. And then they went out for a throw in, and the crowd, it just gets the crowd happy to see that you're trying and you want to win the game, have some effort. Other than that, the only other player that I want to mention is Maguire. I think Maguire had an exceptional game. Again, proving why he should be in this England side, and the backlash that he got was absolutely a joke. I think Maguire's diagonals are so much better than anyone else in that back line. He gets the ball up the field. It was just an issue with the wingers. If they made a run, Maguire's going to find you. And he did a few times on the left-hand side to like Shaw and Sterling and Mount when they were on the left-hand side. But the right-hand side was awful, man. Trippier had a terrible game. I was really, really upset with Trippier. And I was thinking, one of my other mates mentioned Trent. That was the first game where I was like, you know what, Trent might not even be too bad, because Trippier was getting done defensively anyway, so if we're going to do that, we might as well get a better attacking option. But yeah, this game was dreadful. It was a dreadful, dreadful game. But I'm not stressed, I'm not worried, especially when you compare it to last tournament, Euros, second game into the group stage, we played Scotland, a game that we, on paper, should be dominating, but not even necessarily winning by a large sum of goals. Just creating chances. That Scotland game, we created nothing. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was at my cousin's house. We were watching with my uncle. We were all hyped because it was Scotland. It was the rivalry. We did absolutely nothing. But overall, USA 0, England 0. Creating 3 chances and them having 2-3 chances. Like, there was no real shots other than the Pulisic one. And obviously McKennie skying it. Like, there was no... I don't know, it was just such a rubbish game, wasn't it? There's not much more points to talk on. I think I want to talk more on the other things that have gone surrounding it and my hopes now for the World Cup and where England are going to come, bearing in mind that we just had that result. And I know, there's a height, you hit the heights of Iran 6-2 and then you go straight back to reality with the 0-0. But I think there's perspective that's needed here, all right? There's perspective that is needed here. I'll go into this now. I was going to do it later, but I'll do it now. I took the time and I actually looked the other day at France winning the World Cup in 2018, their runner games. What did they do? Germany 2014, what did they do? Spain 2010, what did they do? And I'm going to put some of them here. All right, let's go through France. So I went through the French results, as you can see here. France beating Australia 2-1. I'm just going to go through them all quickly and then I'll talk about them. France beating Peru 1-0 in the group stage, drawing 0-0 to Denmark in the group stages. France beating Argentina, great game, I remember that. 4-3, very good game. Could have gone either way, but Mbappe turned up. Uruguay, France beating them 2-0. Semi-finals, France beating Belgium 1-0, and then in the final they beat Croatia 4-2. Out of the ones I'm going to go through, this is probably the most expansive sort of results. But what I wanted to talk about is, you know, they only beat Australia 2-1. They drew to Denmark. They only beat Peru 1-0. You know, in the group stages specifically in this example, there isn't any crazy results. It's very simple. 1-0, 0-0, 2-1, they're through. That's all that matters. And that's what I'm kind of referencing for England. In every scenario, we either get first or second. If we win and Iran win, if we draw, you know, every single one, we get at least second or first. Like, we're comfortably going into the knockout stages. It just depends who we get as an easier draw or a worse draw, or whatever you want to take it as, coming first or second. But that's a good thing. We're through. You know, that's one thing that I wanted to mention as well. My friend, good friend Tristan, mentioned that after the game, yes, 0-0 was terrible. It was awful. It was boring. But Saudi Arabia beat Argentina. Japan beat Germany. Today, Morocco have just beaten Belgium. We didn't lose the game. We got a point at the end of the day, and that's all that matters, I think, in the group stages, in the World Cup. It's just getting across the line. If you can't win, you don't lose, especially in the group stages, of course. In knockout stages, you'll go to extra time and penalties, etc. But in the group stages, just don't lose. Because if you lose, it really does set you back. It really does set you back, because now you have to win the next game. If we didn't get a point there, we would have to win the next game, kind of thing. And it creates a whole new pressurized situation that is you just don't want to be in. So let's just calm down for a second. But now let's go into Germany in 2014. So first game, Germany versus Portugal. They won 4-0, 10 men Portugal. Similar to our 6-2 against Iran. You know, obviously Portugal's a much tougher team. Take this with a pinch of salt. I'm just saying there is some form of parallels and similarity. I'm not saying we're going to win the World Cup because of those parallels. I'm saying these teams that won the World Cup, we forget the games that they actually played. We just take them as the winner. If you look through their rounds, there are those dips, there are those ups and downs. So this does now, 0-0 to USA doesn't mean now it's all over. Let's just pack up and forget about our hopes and dreams. Do you know what I mean? They only beat USA 1-0. Clearly USA, a very difficult side to beat. You know, only 1-0 for Germany in the year that they won it. Round of 16 against Algeria, 2-1. 2-1. They only beaten France 1-0. Then obviously there's the anomaly there of Germany beating Brazil 7-1. Let's skip past that. But then they only beat Argentina 1-0 in the final. I'm saying we can expect 1-0s. And speaking of 1-0s, let's go to the Spain results. Spain, they lost to Switzerland first game of the tournament. They lost to Switzerland. We haven't lost the game yet. Touch wood, we don't. But they lost the game, first game, and then they won the whole thing. Anything can happen in this tournament. Like, Argentina could still win the World Cup. You know what I mean? They just beat Mexico. Messi scoring an absolute screamer. And then, you know, they lost their first game against Saudi Arabia. Football flows. Football is a flowing sport. There's ups and downs within it. And in tournament football, there is that as well. We look at Real Madrid in the Champions League last year. They were down and out so many times, but they came back. Like, on paper, that they didn't have the best tournament in the sense of they weren't playing the best football, but they still won it. You don't have to play the best. Like, look at 2012 Chelsea. They didn't play the best football in that tournament, but they won it. Chelsea's second Champions League win. They didn't play the best football in that tournament, but they won it. Tournament football is a beautiful thing where you can win it when you're not the best. When you're not the best, all right? Spain, they beat Honduras 2-0. They beat Chile 2-1 with a red card. Then they only beat Portugal 1-0 with a red card. They only beat Paraguay 1-0. They only beat Germany 1-0. And they only beat Netherlands 1-0. This is my point, guys. People moan about boring football. I know Spain played beautiful football in that tournament. Don't get it twisted, but they only scored one goal. I'm saying England, everyone gets onto Southgate saying we play boring football. But the proof is in the pudding. And that pudding tastes delicious. That World Cup pudding, I mean. You don't concede a goal and you score one. That's all you need to do in international football. You don't concede and score one. Don't concede, score one. Everyone wants a 6-0, 5-0, 4-0 win. Calm down. Like, all we need is a 1-0 win to get through the next round, and that's why I'm always going to back Southgate. But this is what I just wanted to take into account and show people. Spain, Germany and France didn't pepper every team that they played in that tournament, more specifically Germany and Spain. And they did have a mishap in the group stages. That's the main thing, which we just had. So I'm not saying it's the end of the world, and a lot of people are saying we need to see a performance, and I agree, we need to see a performance against Wales, but we're going through and we'll take game by game as it comes. And I'm just not in that same mindset that people are, where it's like, oh, that Iran game, That was fun. But now we're back to reality. Like, why is that our reality and not that? And you know what I mean? It's really annoying. I looked at those other results and it actually brought some positive thoughts about this tournament still for us. I still believe in Southgate. I would like to see maybe Walker get brought in eventually, because I think Trippier, you know what, it depends on this Wales game. It all depends on this Wales game of who I want to be played in the round of 16, which I'll talk about obviously in the future. I've already given my prediction about Wales. I think it's going to be a really tough game, especially with the fact that that's going to be their World Cup final game, probably for another 50 years. So they will just want to beat us. That's all they're going to want to do in that game. But I think now after that result, we're going to have a rocket up our asses and we're going to try and win that game just to go into the round of 16 and the knockout stages with some confidence. It would have been nice to be able to rest players like we did against Belgium in the last World Cup. Obviously, we lost that game, but we had a fresh team for round of 16 and we managed to get some other players some minutes. But I don't think we're going to be able to do that against Wales. I think it'll be interesting to see if Southgate plays the same team. That's probably the most interested thing I'm trying to find out against Wales. Will he play the same squad? Because obviously it's easy to play the same team that beat Iran 6-2. It's easy because they perform so well. Does he start Saka again? Does he start Sterling or Bellingham and Mount? Those players that, and Trippier, and you have to play Shaw. But those players where you looked at the game and they were a bit lackluster. Do you play all those players? Do you play Kane? You know, it'll be interesting to see what we do against Wales. I think we'll get across the line. But yeah, that's me. That's my ramble done. England can still do it. I'm still positive about this World Cup. Just get behind the guys and enjoy it. Enjoy it. The last couple World Cups and tournaments have been exceptional. Let's see if we can do it again. And let's have a good time on the ride, all right, on the journey. Thanks for coming through and watching this video. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. We're trying to get to 50 subs by the end of the year, let's say. Who knows? Can we do it? Drop a sub right now. Thanks for coming through. I've been Floppyleggs, and I'll see you when I see you.